But get ready for ice cream melting weather. Toronto and most of southern Ontario under a special weather statement thanks to scorching temperatures that are on the way. More details with Frankie in just a few moments. A race to the finish line. Ontario party leaders are fanning out across the province in their final days of campaigning before Election Day this Thursday. And Metrolinx releasing this chilling video this morning after 3 young people were playing on tracks in Etobicoke, narrowly escaping an incoming GO train. Good morning. It is Monday, May the 30th. You're watching BT. And we would like to acknowledge that we are broadcasting live on the ancestral territories of the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and since 1805, the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We would also like to acknowledge the many Indigenous nations who call Turtle Island home. A beautiful shot of some not kayaking, I guess. What are they doing out there?
They're rowing.
They're rowing. It's just we're rowing. Okay. They're out there early in the morning. Which
is great. I always wanted to do this, but I work on morning show. But
yes.
Yeah, I do. I like to row. I do.
I am pretty bad at it. I've learned just the one time I did it. But I would love to do it at this time with that kind of sunrise.
You got it. And that video, that Metrolinx video is crazy.
I know. And so if people don't realize, don't play around the tracks, hopefully this gets the message out there. Those close calls can really turn tragic.
Yeah, they can. And today we got to be aware as to the weather as well, because with heat, we can also see people very impacted today.
Yeah.
That's why we have a special weather statement, as you were mentioning. We're going to get hot and humid. You ready for some big hair?
I am. Whatever brings the heat, I'll take the big hair and all that stuff. I just want heat. I want summer.
Oh, so it's going to feel like summer today, tomorrow, into Wednesday. Then we'll cool off. By the end of the week, we're back into spring feeling. Let's take a look. This is the beautiful sunrise yesterday morning, as you were mentioning, in Mississauga. That's what yesterday morning looked like. This morning, we have a little bit of some scattered showers that have been pushing their way through. But here's a little bit about that special weather statement. So it's summer-like feeling and humid conditions. We got a high today of 29, a humidex of 34. It will be cooler down by the lakeshore, so if you want some relief, 23. Tomorrow is set where we could be a record-breaking temperature. There's a look at some of the scattered showers that we saw that moved through the overnight that now are pushing their way just over towards the east, but under clearing skies here in Toronto will be mainly sunny through the afternoon. Current conditions right now in Toronto sitting at about 17. 20 in Windsor, so we're going to see that warmth push its way in with the southerly flow of winds and that humidity really lock its way in today, tomorrow, as I mentioned. Current humidex, not much right out there now at 20, but through the afternoon into the mid-30s. Hydrate today. Make sure the kids have sunscreen. Keep an eye on your pets today, on the elderly as well. Tomorrow, the record is about 31.1. Tomorrow, there's a potential we could even be as high as 32. I'm going to be conservative and say 30, but it's a hot one. Then on Wednesday, still we'll see some humidity, but then the storms push through as a cold front moves through. We could even see some severe weather push in on your Wednesday, cooling it off with Thursday into Friday at 21, Saturday at 20. There's those spring-like conditions, partly cloudy on Sunday at 20. Now, in terms of your pollen report for today, we have a low count for walnut, that is, a moderate count for pine, fir, and spruce, and a moderate count for true grasses, giving us a total pollen level on this day of high. That is a look at your forecast on a Monday. Happy Monday, everybody.
Breakfast Television's Pollen Report is brought to you by Reactin. When allergies hit fast, Reactin acts fast.
Morning, Frankie. Good morning, everyone. We're currently looking at your drive, and it is already a busy one, especially over on the westbound 401, where we are currently watching construction. Actually, westbound 401 and the northbound 427, but I'll get there. Let's take you to the 401 right now, where we're watching some maintenance that is blocking, or rather making the express to collector transfer a single lane. And of course, we're also dealing with a stalled vehicle, so it is definitely causing a delay through here. Already seeing that volume as you move through Nielsen on the westbound 401, so it is a slow go already. And this is the other construction I was telling you talking about over on the northbound 427. From the 407 to Major Mackenzie, the 3 right lanes are blocked off. So as you can see, it's jammed up from the 407 to Highway 7. Also affected the 407 ramps to the northbound 427, the westbound Highway 7 and westbound Langstaff ramps to the northbound 427 as well. And you'll also find the westbound Rutherford ramp to the northbound 427 closed also this morning. Outside of that, southbound 404 DVP combo moving at the limit, along with the Gardner heading into the city. You'll find it to be a decent drive. Unibet's hundreds of casino games are coming to Canada. Download Unibet and start playing slots, table games, and live dealer casino today. Must be 19 or older and located within Ontario. Your time now is 6:05. Tammy Sutherland has your headlines. Good morning, Tam. Welcome back.
Thanks very much, Steph. And coming back to the heat now, time to pull out the fans, turn on that AC. Toronto and most of southern Ontario under a special weather statement for our first heat event of this season. Welcome back. Here's what we're following this morning. The first hurricane of the season could hit a stretch of Mexican tourist area and fishing town in a matter of hours. Agatha formed off Mexico's southern Pacific coast yesterday and is expected to make landfall as a Category 3 hurricane by this afternoon or this evening in the southern state of Oaxaca. Local resorts are already boarding up ahead of the storm's arrival. It's been more than a week since Ontario and parts of a Quebec area were hit by a devastating storm, and crews are still working to restore power to tens of thousands of customers. 11 people died in the storm, which caused extensive damage and forced several communities to issue a state of emergency. Last weekend, severe weather also involved an EF2 tornado that touched down in Uxbridge.
It'll never feel maybe the same as being a player, but I'm going to try to win a Stanley Cup as an executive and as part of the organization.
After 19 NHL seasons, veteran Leafs forward Jason Spezza is hanging up his skates. Well, you'll still see him in Toronto. The 38-year-old is moving into the Leafs front office as a special assistant to GM Kyle Dubas. Now, Spezza just retired with just 5 points shy of 1,000. So he retired just 5 points shy of 1,000, which is pretty good. I would think that maybe you would hold on for a little bit to get to 1,000. Do you?
You know what? I believe he wanted to play for the Leafs, Tam.
Yeah.
And I think he was told gently they're going to move on and maybe work in some younger guys.
Yeah.
Good morning. Love Jason Spezza.
Yeah.
Love Jason Spezza. Mississauga kid, second overall pick in 2002, I believe.
And a lot of bodysuits, Sid. And shorts, if you stay tuned.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe I'll do some shorts later. We'll see where the day takes us. It's 7 o'clock. You're watching BT. Could be one of those.
Today is the day to take a dip in the pool if you can. Toronto and most of southern Ontario are under a special weather statement thanks to scorching temperatures that are on the way. More details with Frankie in just a few moments. Metrolinx releasing a chilling video this morning. It's after 3 young people were playing on tracks in Etobicoke, narrowly escaping an incoming GO train. And Canada's gun laws could soon see some major changes as the Liberals introduce new legislation today. Good morning. It is Monday, May the 30th. You're watching BT. And a live look here just over at the Lakeshore down by HTO Park. Of course, along Queens Quay there, where you got some joggers and some cyclists. Perfect morning to do that. You may want to not exercise too much when it comes to the afternoon, of course, with this heat coming our way. We say good morning to Frankie with the latest on that. Hey, Frank.
Good morning. That's a good recommendation because we do recommend through the afternoon when we're in those hot, humid conditions to really limit physical activity.
Yeah. Welcome back. Some of the stories we're following this morning. A live look right now at Yonge and Charles Streets, one of 4 locations across the city where cyclists are meeting up this morning to kick off Toronto's annual Bike Month. It starts with Bike to Work Day today, with cyclists riding down to Nathan Phillips Square for a group celebration. In sports, Canada's Leila Fernandez is heading to the quarterfinals at the French Open for the first time in her career. The Montrealer advancing after taking down American opponent Amanda Anisimova 6-4, 3-6, 6-4. The 17th ranked Fernandez will face Italy's Martina Trevisan tomorrow.
It'll never feel maybe the same as being a player, but I'm going to try to win a Stanley Cup as an executive and as part of the organization.
And after 19 NHL seasons, veteran Leafs forward Jason Spezza is hanging up his skates and moving to the Leafs front office. The 38-year-old will now be a special assistant to Kyle Dubas. Spezza retires just 5 points shy of 1,000 points. And yes, it is the final week of campaigning before the provincial election coming up on Thursday, June the 2nd. And we've been looking at key election issues, trying to break it down for anyone who is trying to figure out who they're going to be casting their ballot for on Thursday. Healthcare is our issue of the day today.
Yeah. As long as the beer was okay, that's the most important thing. It's 8 o'clock. You're watching BT.
Well, temperatures will soon feel like we're in mid-July. Toronto and most of southern Ontario under a special weather statement for our very first heat event of this season. It will feel like the mid-30s with the Humidex today and tomorrow. So local splash pads, of course, will be very busy. And during times like this as well, the city usually opens up several emergency cooling centers. The humid temperatures could pose health risks to older adults, kids, and those with chronic illnesses. So when you are heading out, stay hydrated, drink that water, check in on elderly neighbors, and never leave pets or kids in a locked car. Metrolinx has just released chilling video after 3 young people were nearly hit by a GO train this month. A warning now that some may find this video upsetting to watch. Take a look.
It's a marvelous Monday. Good morning. Here's a live look in Toronto for you. I'm Melanie Ng. Dina Pugliese, she's good. She's got the well-deserved day off. She'll be joining you on Tuesday with the one and only Sid Sixero. Good morning.
Good morning, Canada. Good morning, Mel. Great to see you. We got a busy show. Here's what's coming up on Breakfast Television. In 10 minutes' time, Scott Speedman.
My gosh.
Scott's got some fans.
Woo!
Stars in David Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future. It's out Friday.
Say no more.
It got a 6-minute standing ovation at Cannes. Nailed it.
You know that 16-year-old Mel just lost her mind over Felicity, right? You know that I lost my mind?
So you will be interested in this conversation Devo Brown is about to have.
Dear
with
Scott Speedman, sitting in our green room as we speak, listening to this.
Just trying to distract Devo. He's going to be working here. He's going to be doing an interview here.
I'll try my best, Steve.
Settle down.
Mel, come on.
Oh, boy.
Call me.
All right. At 9:20, neighborhood etiquette dilemmas. A slew of neighborhood dilemmas and debates have taken over the show recently. We'll talk about a few and have an expert come in.
9:01 Eastern Time here on BT. Welcome back. The Trudeau government is expected to table a new gun control bill here in Canada after last week's horrific school shooting in the U.S. Welcome back. Some of the stories we're following this morning. The WHO's top monkeypox expert is warning that anyone is potentially at risk of catching the disease, but doesn't expect a pandemic situation. The agency is investigating how the virus is spreading, including whether the suspension of mass smallpox immunization decades ago may somehow be speeding transmission. Now, Canada has a total of 26 confirmed cases, 25 in Quebec and 1 here in Ontario. Canada's gun laws could soon see some major changes. The public safety minister will unveil a new gun control bill after question period before heading to a news conference with Prime Minister Trudeau at 4:30 Eastern Time. The legislation is expected to include a mandatory buyback of assault-style firearms, a crackdown on high-capacity magazines, and more efforts to fight gun smuggling. And we're days away from the Ontario provincial election. Party leaders will meet with supporters, while also making their final pitches to undecided voters. PC leader Doug Ford, NDP leader Andrea Horwath, and Liberal leader Stephen Del Duca will all be making announcements today, while Green Party leader Mike Schreiner kicks off his home stretch tour. Election day is this Thursday. 9:31, we're going to send things over to Sid and Mel.
All right, thank you so much, Tammy. We just had the conversation about being neighborly, right? There are a lot of disputes that can come about. What we're going to try to do in this segment is make things a bit easier. So we are bringing in Chief Etiquette Officer Julie Blakemo to answer some of your questions. Julie, good morning.
Broadcasting from the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee peoples, and since 1805, the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit. This is City News.
Happening tonight in Toronto.
These young people jumped out of the way. The last second.
Heart-stopping video of a close call on the tracks has Metrolinx out with the warning as train service continues ramping up. 4 more days to go until Election Day, and the battle for second place continues.
It's the NDP that has momentum right now.
There is very clear and growing momentum with the new Ontario Liberal team.
While the percentage of people who have already voted may surprise you.
Facing eviction because you can't make your rent, a decision from City Hall this week could offer some serious help to a select few.
This program is vital because the last 2 years we've seen a number of evictions that gone through landlord-tenant board.
This is City News Everywhere.
Good evening and welcome to City News. Metrolinx is out with a warning today about track safety after heart-stopping video captures 3 young people walking along the tracks and narrowly being missed by a GO train.
In Brampton, Audra Brown, City News.
Happening tonight in Toronto.
These young people jumped out of the way. The last second.
Heart-stopping video of a close call on the tracks has Metrolinx out with the warning as train service continues ramping up. 4 more days to go until Election Day, and the battle for second place continues.
It's the NDP that has momentum right now.
There is very clear and growing momentum with the new Ontario Liberal team.
While the percentage of people who have already voted may surprise you.
Facing eviction because you can't make your rent, a decision from City Hall this week could offer some serious help to a select few.
This program is vital because the last 2 years we've seen a number of evictions that gone through landlord-tenant board.
This is City News Everywhere.
Good evening and welcome to City News. Metrolinx is out with a warning today about track safety after a heart-stopping video captures 3 young people walking on the tracks and narrowly being missed by a GO train.
At the very last second, these young people jumped out of the way. The last second.
Broadcasting from the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee peoples, and since 1805, the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit. This is City News.
Happening tonight in Toronto.
4 more days to go until Election Day, and the battle for second place continues.
It's the NDP that has momentum right now.
There is very clear and growing momentum with the new Ontario Liberal team.
While the percentage of people who have already voted may surprise you.
These young people jumped out of the way. The last second.
Heart-stopping video of a close call on the tracks has Metrolinx out with the warning as train service continues ramping up.
Facing eviction because you can't make your rent, a decision from City Hall this week could offer some serious help to a select few.
This program is vital because the last 2 years we've seen a number of evictions that gone through landlord-tenant board.
This is City News Everywhere.
Good evening. A train barreling down its tracks and narrowly missing 3 youth sounds like a frightening scene from a movie. But as Shauna Hunt reports, this was no movie. It happened right here in Toronto.
Metrolinx is out with a warning about track safety after a heart-stopping video shows 3 young people walking along the tracks and narrowly being missed by a GO train.